All right. Good morning, Kenny. How are you?
I'm fine. How y'all doing?
All right. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Thanks for joining us today. If type any notes you might have in the chat or raise your hand or something, but we'll try to be done by 10:30, 10:40 as always. We always look forward to this. Kenny was called away from our community development meeting on special assignment last Friday. And I have to say, Kenny, stay on your toes because Justin is an adequate fill-in.
That's what I'm talking about.
He is just waiting to take over. So
that's what I'm talking about. Hey, and as young as he is, man, he's got the whole future.
He's got a lot more years left in us than us.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
No, he did a great job, and I see some familiar faces, but I would imagine this morning won't be much of a repeat. So from one end of town to the other, lots going on. And
speaking of the devil, look who's here. Look who's here.
I know. We've been giving him already. He's
on my shoulder all the time right there. I just rolled in. He just rolled in.
Get those federal legislators back in the district so they can quit doing harm whenever they go to Washington. That makes us nervous. So anyway, Kenny, lots going on. Why don't you go ahead and take it away, my friend?
It is. I appreciate you guys. We just had a little staff meeting here at City Hall. We've got a retreat. It's a local retreat this week with the city commissioners. It'll be at the community center. And sorry about that. I thought I heard something. And so we'll be doing that this Wednesday with the commissioners, basically just to talk about this particular retreat. It's going to be all about infrastructure. It's a day-long event basically with our commission to talk about road projects, sewer projects, the EQ base, and things of that nature. Because personally, I feel like, I think everybody will agree with me, that our biggest need right now in the city is the commission's done a phenomenal job with the police department, fire department, parks, all the other essential services, but and I think they've done a yeoman's job as well on the streets to the best of our ability. But we're going to put a lot more focus on roads and sewer pocket planning and things of that nature in the future. And so the commission, we're going to have a day-long retreat in regards to that. I think everybody will agree with that. Like any growing city, if there's ever an issue, it's going to be roads and infrastructure. That's the hardest thing. It requires the most time, right-of-way engineering, design, you name it. Utilities, it just takes a long time. And I see the joke sometime about things like 109 and 70 and Mount Jewett Road and any state project. And I can tell you, if we fast forwarded 40 years, we'd still be having the same conversations because there's just so many unknowns and it just takes so long to put all those parts together. But I tell you, once those projects are complete, as you can see right now, 109 with it being open, it just makes a world of difference. So anyway, we'll be having that retreat this week, and Justin's here, so I appreciate him filling in for me. Mark, sorry I had to miss you guys and miss Marla last week, but it's good. It's one thing good about Justin. He's capable of doing just about anything, and so y'all get to see a much prettier face periodically. In this case, you get to see both faces, and you get to see old and young, what old and young looks like. So, but yeah, I appreciate Justin and everything he does. He's working a lot on grants here at City Hall as well. So he doesn't just do the PR stuff or the public information. He does a lot of grant research. And if anybody's written any grants, they'll be the first to tell you those things are getting harder and harder to come by as well. So, but anyway, I just wanted to mention that and also mention about the retreat this week. We may be moving, Mark, on. I think this is important to note. We found out end of last week that the dinner excursion train, which I don't think this has happened in the past, will be coming right through the middle of our parade. I think it's at 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or something like that. And we were trying to time our parade where it started a little bit later so that it could sort of run right into the tree lighting ceremony. Well, we might have to bump the parade back because there was still about an hour delay between the parade and the tree lighting. Because the dinner excursion train will be coming through not just once, but twice. It'll make its way through one direction and apparently make its way back the other direction right in the middle of the parade. And we can't risk anybody getting hurt or the parade pausing. So we'll probably be getting with the commission today about bumping the parade back to 11 o'clock.
So just to correct anyone, Tina corrected me at the Chamber of Commerce when I said it was at 11, said it was at 1. So she stands corrected. It's now back at 11, probably. Ain't that right?
It's not official.
That's right.
Hey, we make the official rules, so you can't tell us when it is.
That's right. But yeah, Rocky will be getting with the commission today, make sure everybody's on board with that. It's just one of those kind of things. Sometimes you can't control the railroad and trains going through it, but we'll treat it sort of as three. The one thing good about it though is we were going to lose our 5K run that morning because runners like running in the morning time. They don't like running later in the day. And so the 5K was going to go away. So hopefully with this being the case, the 5K will come back. So we'll have 3 events that day: the 5K, the Christmas parade, then a slight delay, and then the tree lighting. And folks, it's a short drive to come back out. And maybe in a way it'll be a good thing because folks can still come back out to it. I hate that, but it's when you got a train line that runs right through your city, it's just one of those things you have to do. But Mark, I'll pause for a second in case there's any particular questions.
Anybody got any questions on that? That really messes me up, Kenny. I got to tell you, because now I'm going to have to come up with yet another excuse not to go out and run on a cold morning. So
That's right. That's right.
I had
Mark.
a perfect one. So
Mark, we'll get you a stunt double to run in
Yeah.
and I know the difference. But we hate stuff like that, but sometimes that's just the way it is. You got to be flexible and be ready to make changes if you need to. But getting back into some city projects, I just want to thank everybody for your patience. As everybody knows, I'll get into it real quick. It's sort of a running joke. I'm thinking about resetting the clock tower to 10 after. I think it's 10 after was what was in Back to the Future. The clock tower had a lightning strike, which knocked out the control box. And if anybody knows anything about ordering pieces parts, especially things with electronic parts in them, it takes a while. So those parts are on back order to fix the clock tower. So it's down. We had a traffic accident that took out one of our traffic control boxes up by Waffle House. The parts are ordered. It's not working at 100%, but it's working enough to be safe and effective. But it's causing some delays because traffic control boxes are made to communicate with one another. And if there's one sort of in that daisy chain that's not communicating with the others correctly, the timing gets all off. So traffic's probably been a little bit worse on Mountain Jet Road as a result. But our engineering department is working on that. I think they've got it tweaked about as good as they can until the parts come in. But you'll notice them working on that particular traffic control box. So when you add that with Christmas season shopping and the construction at the bridge, just expect a little bit of delays. But I think it got a little bit better toward the end of last week. So I think they did some tweaking on it. But if you're wondering what had happened, that's what it is. And speaking of the bridge, have y'all had a chance to look at the western side of the bridge and what that's going to look like? We always talked about, and I know that Mr. and Miss Reeser will love it because him being the architect and all and designer, but it'll be a little bit fancier than your normal bridge. And when it's all done and painted, it'll look even better. So really excited about that. So we're doing some paving on the transition lanes last week in front of Shell and all that. So the hope is as soon as we get that one side of the bridge open, all the construction will transition to the east side of the bridge, and then it'll start doing that part. And that part should move a lot quicker because you're basically talking about paving, the bridge head wall, and the decorative pieces parts that'll come in with that. So it's moving along really well. Really excited about that. We're also looking at upgrading. I think we talked about this. There's still a little bit of work to be done on it, on cost, but all of our street lights to LED instead of the old orange oxide is what I refer to them at. They've got that just terrible look to them. So we're looking at doing that. And so anyway, any questions, anybody?
glad you put the stars on there. Tony and I we went to Memphis this weekend on the overpasses. I'd point out, hey, there's another one that's got the stars. They really stand out.
It does,
in a good way.
And I think they'll have those painted red, white, and blue once it's all said and done. And then there's also the city went a little bit extra and had the MJ embossed as well into the bridge walls, which sort of personalizes it for us. Stewart City likes that. So a lot of good things going on right now. Of course, everybody knows since I think we talked the last time, I think the corner pub was either just fixing to open or it opened again. They're open. They're doing extremely well. The citizens have been patronizing them. Of course, you can tell the Christmas store is all decorated. It's been doing really well, even beyond expectations, which is exciting. We're going to encourage people to continue to shop local. I know things are a little bit tougher to get, and that's why I say if you're going to start shopping, most of you's probably already started by now. You don't want to wait till us guys are bad about waiting to the last minute. I wouldn't probably do that this year. I think Capstone, I talked to them at the end of last week. The Capstone is the assisted living development on Mount Juliet Road. It's just past Oak Hall. I got some news last week. I think that they're just on the verge of finally starting construction, as everybody knows, because of COVID and the pandemic, that being sort of assisted living. That market took a hit, so they've sort of backed off, but they're getting ready, I think, to start breaking ground soon, which I'm really excited about that because that's a sort of a transition part, from Woodland Place up to City Hall. There's a lot of open places down through there now that's been either demoed and houses and things of that nature. So I think that's going to kick off some good development right in the heart of the town. It's going to light it up a little bit because that's a darker section of Mount Juliet Road. So excited about that. I was trying to think, I want to say at the time that was about a $15 to $20 million development. So I don't know what that would be today under today's monies, but it's going to be a great addition for our city. They got the old Capital City Market down. All the tanks have been pulled out of the ground there. So the next phase on that will be the start of the Whataburger. The Camel Car Wash, just to the south of that, it's approved. Not exactly sure when they'll start, but that's all approved. They can really start anytime they'd like to. That's really up to them and, of course, the developer of that project there. But that's going to be two really nice developments. If you go across the street, I've got some good news. Is that the garage sale, the place there on the corner of 70 and Mount Juliet Road. I can't remember if it's called yard sale or garage sale. I always get that backwards. But they're going to be moving to Belinda Parkway, just east of Two Rivers Forward. If everybody remembers, there was an industrial style building that combined with another business, so that left that building vacant. They're going to get about 3 times the space in this new building. So if you've ever been to the same business that's in Smyrna, they work more out of what's called a flex space. It's almost like a Sam's or a Costco. It's just much bigger to where they got much more inventory. So they'll be taking that building, and then in turn, we're working with some other possible tenants or a new tenant that will either be taking the old building, more of a national tenant, or that building could actually be coming down and be a new building built there on that location. So we'll get a net gain of at least one new business and the expansion of another business. So that speaks volumes about how well that's doing. And anytime you can get somebody to go into an old industrial space and make it retail, that's a win-win for our city. So really excited about that. Matter of fact, I think they're coming out this morning to tour the building. They signed the lease at the end of last week. We're working with them on some parking requirements and things of that nature because that was a little bit tight, but we think it's going to be fine. So very excited about that. Pep Boys is on the Planning Commission agenda, so you'll be seeing that. They're looking at wanting to go down across from the Kentucky Fried Chicken on Lebanon Road. If everybody's familiar with that open lot beside West Wilson Utility District, they're wanting to build a new Pep Boys service center there, which that's actually good. We've been trying to push some of that development on Lebanon Road eastward because we're thinking that'll speed up the widening process for Highway 70. So they're on the agenda as well. We have 2 other, and you'll probably see them soon. I won't mention it, but I think it's public record. So I guess you could always check that with the building department to see if it's listed. But there's 2 new tenants. One is 40,000 square feet. One is 100,000 square feet. And I think when word gets out about both those tenants, I think there's going to be a lot of excitement in our community. Of course, I think there'll be some that is, that are concerned about traffic. We get that. But let me say this, from my perspective, development and growth is good. And the reason is we have a lot of existing road issues now. Just with growth, you're going to have that in any community. But if you think about it, as the developments come in, they actually help fix road projects. For example, Providence Central, once they realign Providence Parkway and do away with the current Adams Lane and realign it, actually traffic in the area will be better even with the growth. So a lot of times what we see is when the growth comes, it actually improves the traffic flow, not make it worse. If we were to do a moratorium today and quit growing in Mount Juliet, Tennessee and say nothing else, the growth around Mount Juliet, Tennessee is going to continue to grow, but you're not going to have any funds or any way to pay for offsetting that growth and fixing your roads. So it's just it's a necessary process. So very excited about those 2 new tenants because I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. If we can actually land these 2 tenants and they come to fruition, and what I mean by that is, how it is, it's just because something goes to the Planning Commission, gets approved, doesn't mean that it'll ever be built. But if those 2 tenants get built, it'll be my prediction that that'll be just the start of what you're going to see between Providence Central, Legacy Point. And of course, Miss Phyllis is on here. A lot of people have been asking about the land over beside Witt's Barbecue on Mount Juliet Road. That's about 12 to 13 acres. Miss Phyllis and Mr. Bill are basically prepping that for the future and for marketing. They're doing all their site work, which I commend because they could have easily said, let's just do it at another point in time when hopefully prices come down. I think they're smart enough to realize we don't know if prices will come down. So you might as well do it while you can before they get even more expensive. So they're doing all the site work there. And what I like about that, it gives me and others an opportunity to go ahead and market that property and be trying to recruit businesses that want to come. And just last week, Justin and I went out to Madison and we met with a bowling center developer. Now, I'd be the first one to tell you, I don't know what their capabilities are, but I can tell you this, if you rent 33,000 square feet in any shopping center, I don't care where it is, and you do $6 million of investment and you do what they did in this particular bowling center, then I think they're capable, because somebody had to either be partners in that or loan the money to these people to spend $6 million inside a building of 33,000 square feet. And Justin will tell you, if we could get something like that in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, I think it's a game changer. We're working hard. I know one of the spots that they're looking at, and that's up to Mr. Bill and Miss Phyllis, is Everett Downs. And if for whatever reason that doesn't work out, we'll try to find them a spot elsewhere. But ideally, I think that'd be a perfect location.
It'd be the biggest game in town. And when
Yeah.
I shared it on our City of Mount Juliet Facebook page, overwhelmingly, probably every 100 comments, 99 were fantastic. Like, we need something like that for the kids. That would be great. Shared it to Hit Mount Juliet, where that can be a dungeon for bad comments. Overwhelmingly positive there as well. So hopefully we see something like that if it's feasible in the next 5 to 10 years here in Mount Juliet. I think it would be needed, and they would be like, "Where's this been at the whole time?" And I think that everybody would enjoy it, including Kenny and myself. We'll be there.
Oh yeah, we enjoyed it. And the video doesn't do it justice. I can tell you that. You have to see it in person to realize the attention to detail that they put into it. It's the kind of place that you walk into, and immediately, if you're older in particular, and you remember the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and sort of that design, you'll love it. It's just they did it so well. They didn't cut any corners, and I have to admit, I sort of felt a little bit like a kid. So we're working hard, not just with them, but other folks, to bring that type of thing here. We're also working with another entertainment venue that wants to do something similar, like an arcade and gaming kind of place. They've got a location in Murfreesboro. We're also working with Sky Zone, which does indoor, I call them trampoline parks, but they also do what's called an indoor water park, but it doesn't have water. But it's referred to as a lot of the slides and the games are just like you're on water, but you don't get wet. It's all Teflon and bearings and things of that nature. You have to go and Google indoor waterless water parks, and you'll see what I mean. They're pretty darn cool. The biggest problem we have in Mount Juliet is we're a young city that doesn't have a lot of empty buildings. One of the best things about Mount Juliet is we're a young city that don't have a lot of empty buildings. So I know that seems odd to say it that way, but nobody ever wants an empty space. But if we had 30,000 square feet today or 70,000 square feet and it laid out well, I can tell you we would have a bowling alley within 2 months. But the biggest problem we've got is in today trying to build a building that somebody could rent back for about $4 a square feet at today's money is almost impossible. So it's everything's going to have to fall into place just right to make this bowling center work. And so my hope is that I'll be able to reach out to our city commission and get approval to create what's called an entertainment type venue, which means it wouldn't have to be built quite to the same standards as what you would if you were building like a retail store. Because I just don't think anybody's going to be able to build a freestanding 30 to 70,000 square foot facility and it'd be all brick and be able to make the numbers work. So we'll have to work hard on that, but we're excited about that. Still no update on Slotsky's. The gentleman that owns that property owns the restaurant and the franchise. We've asked him if he'd be interested in selling the building or flipping the business to somebody else. And thus far, he hasn't had any interest in that. So we don't know what the future holds for that. It's a wonderful facility. And I think ultimately somebody's going to do something with it. But we'll just have to be patient in the meantime, because the gentleman that owns it, he controls the fate of the future of that business. So we'll be patient. We'll hang tight. But wish I had an update for everybody on that. But unfortunately, I don't. I was trying to think the O'Reilly Auto Parts is going really well on Highway 70. All the other restaurants in town seem to be doing fine. Thank you for your patience. For whatever reason, we're still having a very difficult time getting employees for a lot of these businesses, especially in the restaurant industry and hospitality. And it is just sort of what it is right now. I don't know when that'll improve, but I will give credit to folks, and I commend you all to do the same, is when you have somebody that's waiting on you or at a grocery store or whatever it may be, thank them. And I thank each of you, because you're out here working and you're beating the pavement and doing what you have to do. And Miss Tracy, I'd like to thank her. I see her up there. My wife had to have a medical procedure, And we went to the Vanderbilt in Lebanon. They did a phenomenal job. We got there really, really early that morning. And I had the opportunity to sort of sit in the lobby and watch them. And, my wife said, well, you could have went back there with her if you'd wanted to. And my wife even said, well, you could have sat in the car. And I said, well, it would have helped if you said that about 3 hours earlier. That would have helped a bunch. Instead, I sat in the lobby and I got a chance to watch all the folks. And it was dark 1 minute. Next thing I knew, that lobby was full of people and they were all being treated really well. And I watched the staff and how they were treating people. And it just does my heart good for somebody that's been here a long time to see businesses like that in our own community where you don't have to travel outside of Wilson County to get the best of service. And I think that's across the board in our city. And so I want to thank Ms. Tracy and her team for that. And the Cadillac dealer is still coming. A lot of people have been asking about that. Mr. Nelson is a very smart man. He's very patient, and his family's been in the business for generations, and they're just basically waiting for a little bit of the cost to come down. And as soon as that happens, I think you'll see the Cadillac dealer going up. There's also another dealership that's not dealership. There's also another retail development, mixed use development that got approved with the last city commission meeting. It's the same folks that did the Vintage Station North apartments downtown. But the difference in this case, if you're familiar with the, I can't even think of the name of the church, Pastor Andrew Wharton's church, Pleasant Grove Church, I believe it's called. They've got some additional acreage there. And so the developers that developed Vintage Station North are going to be doing a development, and it'd be called a mixed use development on that property. And if they do anything like what they did on Vintage Station, it's going to be very nice. So the exciting thing is with all the inflation and the supply chain issues and things of that nature, we're still seeing a lot of growth, a lot of development, a lot of interest in Mount Juliet. And so that's exciting. It's a little concerning because, you want to see these things happen until they do. I get a little bit nervous about it, but we're continuing to hustle. That's why we're running to places like Madison and touring bowling centers. And, I think a lot of this is going to start coming back as we continue to work hard with, the vaccination and the mask. And, everybody's gotten much better at it about washing your hands and trying to do the social distancing and wearing masks where you feel like you need to wear them. Everybody's gotten good at that because we've been at it 2 years. So, Mark, I'll pause for a second in case there's any questions.
Now that we got the hand washing down, we're going to start working on turn signals.
There
That's
are
right.
some questions in the chat.
Is there some
What?
Miss
There's
Marla?
some questions in the chat.
Yep. Can you tell them what they are?
Yeah, let me see.
Well, we covered Everett Downs. Eddie asks, is Music City Bar and Grill still planned for Old Bank besides Shiloh Plaza? And what's going into the Old Dollar General close to Tractor Supply?
Yeah, the Old Dollar General, I'm not sure. I haven't been down that way or talked to Norm, the gentleman that owns the Old Dollar General store. But he may have had something planned that I just hadn't talked to him to get an update. So I don't really have an update on the Old Dollar General. But last I talked to the folks with the Music City Bar and Grill, yes, they were still planning on doing the Lebanon Road location. And I just need to call and get an update because I haven't talked to them in some time. But last time I heard, yes, they were still coming to that particular location. So that's exciting news as well, because there's been a lot of new development on Lebanon Road, like I'd mentioned, with the Whataburger and, the new business going to come there to the old garage place, and also Pep Boys and O'Reilly and things of that nature. So we're seeing some good development on Lebanon Road as well. The apartment complex on Donald Road, if you hadn't been down through there recently, that's moving along. They've got some road improvements they're having to do. The Wintry Golf Course, that's still planned to be a residential development. Not sure exactly when they're going to start that, but I expect that to be real soon. The city passed on first reading to buy 22 acres on Old Lebanon Dirt Road, closer to the county line for its EQ basin, and that's part of our sewer enhancement program. So I want to thank our Board of Commissioners for that. We had to move on that pretty quick. The city also bought the little building behind City Hall, which is the old clerk's office where y'all got your car tags for years, if you're familiar with that little building. And we're going to incorporate that into City Hall. And the reason is if we bring one more staffer on the City Hall staff, we have no office for them. And so what we're going to do is remodel that. We think we can get about 5 different offices in there, and that'll free up some space so that we can bring another person in, because right now we have one person that doesn't have an office at City Hall that needs an office at City Hall. So they're sort of working off site.
That last one.
Yeah. Justin got the last one. And we had to actually split Miss Sharon's office to create a spot for Justin. And we also had to convert our old kitchen to a spot for our city attorney. So it's a blessing and a curse to be growing, but our old City Hall building, we're going to keep trucking along. And I want to thank the commissioners for stepping up, let us buy that building, because that's going to get us by for some time until it's at some point in the future, the city maybe looks at expanding or building a new City Hall. If you've been to the new fire hall on Highway 70 by Green Hill High School, you can see they're starting to go vertical with that building, which we're very excited about that. The police expansion building, we're putting that out for bid soon. So if you know anybody that wants some work, I encourage them to bid on that project and to bid low, to build very low. And that way then we can pick somebody locally to build that, because our initial estimates that came in way over, and we're hoping those are wrong, so that we can go forward with that project. So if you know any good contractors out there that want to do something, that are willing to make some money but not necessarily get rich on a project, here's an opportunity for you to give back to your community and help us expand our police department. You'll still make some money, you just might not make as much, but you'll be giving back, because as everybody knows, the money that we spend belongs to you all. So the cheaper we are, and the more that we make that money last us, the better off we all are. So,
Kenny, just a couple of things from my notes. Well, before I do that, I want to let it slip by. Congratulations again to Green Hill High School. They're on a magnificent run. And
Watertown.
I see Rochelle Regard and Robert McMurray are on here. Probably not exactly how I plan to do the introduction, but they both have agreed to serve, were nominated and selected to serve as new board members beginning January the 1st, a 3-year experience or term or penance or whatever it is. But we are grateful to have y'all step up and be willing to be part of the leadership team. And there'll be more on that later, but I saw you both on here and wanted to do that. Kenny, you've touched on the fire hall. You gonna have that done yet this year? I mean, in first part of next year?
we hope so. They said, it's the waiting on the steel has been the biggest issue.
Okay.
They're going to go ahead and build the part they can build out of block and as wood, of course. But the
Okay.
steel won't be here until February. And I think once the steel gets here, they'll get to moving on. It's like everything else, meeting your deadlines when you'd hope to do something. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be more like the middle of next year, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll be tickled to get it. We're already looking at opportunities and speaking to the commission about pitching ideas for not only replacing the fire hall behind City Hall, but I'm also on the lookout for somebody that to either donate some land or purchase some land over on Golden Bear for what would be the 4th fire hall. And so my eyes are out wide open for a piece of property. We could probably have somewhere between an acre to a half acre of property. So if you know anybody out there that would entertain donating a piece of property, that's great. If not, then we're going to be looking to buy a piece of property because we need to go ahead and get that secured for the future. And I want to thank the commission because the commission has stepped up big time. We put a lot before them. If you think about it, $800,000 piece of 22 acres for an EQ basin. We bought a lot of parkland this past year. We bought the little building behind City Hall, which I appreciate Freddie Weston and West Wilson Utility because they own that building. And they could have very well said, nope, it's not for sale. So that's going to help us out tremendously. And, just one thing after another. Of course, everybody sees the schools are coming along real well. I've been talking to the assistant school director or deputy school director, and Stoner Creek and also West Wilson Middle School are coming along real well. If you notice now, they got the rock crusher up on the site at West Wilson Middle School, which is good. Have you ever seen so much concrete on a site? It's like the piles kept getting bigger, not smaller. And I'm proud of them because they're going to repurpose a lot of that concrete pad that was under the old school. So a lot of the old West Wilson Middle School and Stoner Creek Elementary will remain in the new schools via that cross-struct from the site. So I think that's pretty cool. And plus, it's really efficient to do it that way. So they've done a really phenomenal job with that. I'm very excited about that. Velocity Motor Cars, if y'all are familiar with them, unfortunately, because of cost and supply chain issues, they pulled out of their project, which was going to be on Northwest Rutland Road. But we were actually working with another exotic car sales company, actually that's already in Mount Jet, Tennessee, that's actually wanting to expand. And so we told them if they took that project on, they could actually make it turnkey. They wouldn't have to get rezoned. They wouldn't have to go to planning commission. As long as they built it like it was approved, it would save them a phenomenal amount of money. So we've reached out to them. They said they were going to look at it. So hopefully we can make that happen. And although I'm disappointed that velocity won't be coming. We understand with all that's going on in the world right now why they decided just to not do that. You know what? And if you lose one, you gain another somewhere else. And if anybody had an opportunity last Friday, I think it was that Friday, the ribbon cutting?
For our True Garden Inn?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you didn't get a chance to go to the grand opening and the ribbon cutting from the Hilton True brand, boy, that was something else. And I think some of you were there. That is an absolutely beautiful facility. And standing inside there, the mayor and I were talking. They had a band and other things. And we were just sitting there saying to ourselves, can you believe something to this magnitude is in our little city of Mount Juliet? Because I couldn't help but think back to the old days. For those of you old enough to remember, do y'all remember the old Hermitage Court Motel that used to be on Highway 70? Looked like the Bates Motel or something. That place was awful. It was so bad we had to condemn it and got it tore down. And it now sits where the new Dollar General sits, if that gives you an idea. And it sat vacant for years. But just to think we've got the caliber of the businesses that we've got in this city is absolutely mind-boggling. And we're just getting started, like I said, with all these developments just in the heart of Mount Juliet. And also Legacy Point on Golden Bear. There's a lot of interest. As a matter of fact, I talked to a developer at 8:30 Friday night that called me because they're wanting to do a residential development on the old Baltz farm. So if everybody's familiar with that property currently is zoned industrial. And we didn't really want to see it go industrial or distribution or anything like that. We actually want to see it go to residential or mixed use. What's good about the residential is if that comes to residential, it helps push more retail in that area as well because you've got more rooftops and also entertainment venues. So that's a really good thing. I don't know all the details yet or how that's going to work out, but they've been working with the owners of the property. They have a lot of interest in the property. And they also mentioned because some of that property or a big portion of it is in the floodplain that they would also entertain donating some additional property for city parkland. So just a lot of good things going on. I can't thank everybody enough because it takes each one of us. Mark, the golf tournament was a great job. Your team always does a good job with everything that they touch. I had a really good time with that. And so we're just blessed.
Charlie.
Real quick, Kenny, something on more along the lines of business, redistricting. We got an update this morning from the county mayor on the county redistricting. When will that be finalized for the city?
I think our next workshop on that is next Monday before our city commission meeting. And I would think that they'll probably finalize it at that particular point on which map they're going to pick. You know, they had 2 or 3 different options. So I'd anticipate, I don't want to speak for the commission, but if we have the workshop before the meeting, they've had those maps for a while. So I think for the most part, they've sort of come to conclusion of what they're thinking on voting on. But I think that'd probably be next Monday. And then some of the districts are changing a little bit. District 4, I think, will change a little bit. It's gotten so big. And what they're trying to do is keep those districts about 9,000 plus. And right now they're skewed a little bit to where some are much bigger than others. And that's just something you got to do periodically because of where the growth goes. I think the future growth, or a lot of future growth that you're going to see, is going to be out in the Highway 70 area going eastbound and also out Bender's Ferry Road. I think you're going to see a lot of growth out that way in the future. And of course, you're going to see a lot of residential growth as well on Golden Bear. And then I think that growth will start pushing eastward on Highway 70 for some of those bigger parcels of land that hadn't been developed or hadn't had sewer access. We're starting to see a lot of interest there as well, Mark. And all the state road projects, I want everybody to know that Andy Bartle and his team, it may not seem like it, are pushing hard, pressing hard every day with the state of Tennessee. Matter of fact, we've requested a meeting with the governor to sit down just to see, just to try to help in every way that we can to figure out what it is we can do as a city to push these state projects along. I will tell you, when your city commission sets aside $40 million, which is unheard of, and they're saying if we need to do more, we'll do more. This city probably by far per capita has more skin in the game, in my personal opinion, than any city in Tennessee. This commission has stepped up. It may not look like it and said, we want to do all the legwork. We want to have skin in the game on the state roads. We're contributing to it. We want to be a part of the solution. So you may not see that day to day when you're out driving, but please know that for somebody that's worked here a long time, I can tell you that because I see it, and I can't thank our commission enough, because when you've been somewhere 32 years and you see how this commission has stepped up and said, what do we got to do to help with these state projects? It's $188 million that we're in line for from the state of Tennessee just on road projects. If you count 70 South Mount Juliet Road, the Central Pike Interchange, and some others, not to mention the $144 million that it would take to do all the projects the cities want to do. So I think you're going to see a lot of activity in the future, but just know this, it takes a while. It takes some time to make that happen. But I couldn't be prouder of the fact that they are positioning themselves to do some really good things in the future. Just the same with our sewer pocket plan, sidewalks, street lighting, things of that nature in parks. You're starting to see a whole lot of greenway connectivity. And two of our newest parks, Mark, one of them is the Tate Lane Park, as I call it. The bids should be coming in soon on that, and also the park down on, I call it Beckwith Road. Some of you refer to it as the Curd Road residential development that we're partnering with Beezer Homes on. Beezer will be building that first phase of the park, which will be the parking lot, the infrastructure to get into it, and other things. So very excited about that at no cost to the city. As part of that development, we sold them a few acres back, and in exchange from the acres that we sold them, they also agreed to do some park improvements for us. So you're going to eventually be able to walk around this entire city from Clemens Road all the way over to the high school, from Clemens Road all the way down to the Greenway at Mount Jewett Road and the train station, and make the entire loop around Mount Jewett, and even at some point possibly connect to the Greenway system in Nashville.
Well, I will tell you, for those of you that heard those enormous numbers and multitude of projects, the city has a very robust and up-to-date, easy to read development tracker if you want to see what's going on. And they've got a new link on their website for capital improvements, and it's broken down with little icons, whether it's a road or a sewer project or a bridge or a park. That is great information, and we appreciate you guys, Kenny and your team, keeping that up to date. It tells you what's it going to cost, how much of it's grant, how much of it's local money, percent of completion, timeline. It's fantastic information. I'm glad you guys do that.
Now, thank you, Mark. I was going to tell you, I really appreciate that. And I was going to tell you too, guys, there's a few things I left out and I don't want to run over, but the Avid Hotel is still under construction. The 7-Eleven over on Golden Bear, if you've noticed, it's coming along real well. That's right there by Legacy Point. We got a ton of developments looking at the Golden Bear. Matter of fact, there's two developments. One is right across the street from Amazon. I think there's two looking over there. The gas station at Jackson Hills, Heritage Medical, which is across the street from Rocky Williams. If you've been over there and you've seen that building, that's going to be an absolutely beautiful building. The Autism in Motion on Mount Juliet Road. You got the bank that's going to be coming in with a restaurant and some retail right on the corner of Clearview and Mount Juliet Road. And Dr. Davis and Dr. Geneva Co., they've got silt fencing up now on their next office building that'll be going up right across from the middle school. And every one of those buildings is unique upon itself, but they're absolutely beautiful buildings, and I think a great addition to the city. And I don't know the name of it yet, but I was talking to the Venice Station folks last week. They were to city commission meeting, and the little building that sits right there in front of Venice Station North that everybody's been wondering what was going to be in there, that's going to be that a salon is taking that entire building. And I forgot the type of salon it was, but it was some really fancy salon. That's all I know, which I think that's a perfect fit for that, to be honest with you, because where it sits and all. So I'm really excited about that. And then there was one other thing.
Hey, Kenny.
Yeah.
Did you see how excited Eddie Poole got when you mentioned hair salon?
Yes.
He perked right up.
He did, didn't he?
He did.
I'm always looking for solutions.
Yes.
Solutions. But it is.
Well,
I'd
be remiss if I didn't remind everybody once again. I know you get tired of me saying it, but next couple of weeks, next couple of months are critical for our local businesses. The stores I've been in, they've got stuff ready to sell that is not in a container ship out off the coast of Long Beach. So you have an opportunity to spend your money locally. They want your business. Kenny said, be patient. We don't want to get upset at the people that are working. It's not their fault the people stayed home. But anyway, there's plenty of places to spend your money locally, and they really need it. This is always the make or break season for a lot of our smaller retailers. And help your friends and neighbors. Be on the lookout for people who are doing things they shouldn't be doing. If Tyler Chandler was here, he would tell you that this is a time that crime typically goes up in the shopping areas and things like that. So we can be vigilant for our fellow shoppers. And there was another question popped up for Providence Central. Will there be any commercial space? If so, will it be single-story retail strip or more like Burger Republic setup?
A little bit of both. I think you're probably going to see multi-story type stuff. There'll be some medical office buildings, mixed use, big box, a lot like what you see in Providence.
Yep.
Is what I
Good for
think you'll
you.
see. Yeah, so it's going to be a higher end development. It's going to be some residential in there as well. So if you can picture Providence, but not quite as big, that's what I envision seeing, but probably with a little bit more white collar Class A office aspect to it. A lot of interstate visibility. I think you're going to be really excited about these two new tenants. I think once the word gets out about that, and I'd be remiss too if I didn't mention Dunkin' Donuts and the Jeremiah's and the other retail building that's coming in right there by the Christmas store. I know sometimes we just drive by that and it gets lost. We also have a coffee shop type business, drive-through coffee company that's looking at the little building, the little piece of property right there where the fireworks tent gets set up beside Brookside Landing. If you're familiar with that little lot, that lot's sort of unique is that you can't get a fast food restaurant on there, but you can get something more like a cookout or a coffee type, drive-through type business is what's looking at that right now. So a lot of these little pockets are finally starting to get plugged in. And what I like about that is that, I got to mention this. There's a really, really good developer, and we got lots of them in Wilson County. But when you're very familiar with the Mount Juliet, Tennessee mark, that's looking at that corner right in front of the Chamber of Commerce. So I don't think you have to worry about a gas station going there. I think what you're going to see going there is going to be something very, very complimentary to our wonderful Chamber of Commerce, our train station, and our clock tower. I think you're going to really like it.
I believe that property was closed on about 2 weeks ago Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
That's exactly right. So Mark's very familiar with that, but I tell you, that is going to be the person behind that. Everything they ever do turns to gold. They know what they're doing, and they love this community. I couldn't be more excited about that because we've been fighting off some folks wanting to put drugstores and gas stations and kept trying to get somebody that would do the right thing. And like Mark said, the right thing's about to come there, and it's going to be a great addition to downtown Mount Juliet. And when that happens, to me, it helps propel other people to want to up their game as well. You're going to see some new business buildings and new business going in on West Division Street as well. There's at least 3 office style buildings going in down there, 2 on the right as you go west, 1 or 2 on the left by the apartments that are down there, if you're familiar where that's at. So just starting to see some really good growth in a lot of different places spreading out through the city. The roundabout that's proposed for Willoughby Station, that'll be starting to probably sometime the first part of next year. A new traffic signal for Kroger and Providence Parkway is in motion. If you see a lot of paint marks at Mount Juliet Road and Curd Road, that's for the initial design work for the traffic signal that's going to go there. So if you've ever tried to come out at Curd Road and Mount Juliet Road and you couldn't get out, there'll be a traffic signal in the works there. We're working with the post office on an easement. We're also working with the post office to see if we can't build in an ingress egress to where you could exit out on the Curd Road from the post office instead of having to go out on Mount Juliet Road. That way you can come out at the traffic light. Does that make sense? And also the light, also the light at South Green Hill Road and 70 is being designed as well. That's a unique one. We were hoping to use a lot of the parts from the old Green Hill High School light, but unfortunately it's just a different angle and the mast poles have to be changed. So that's going to take a little bit, but they're paid for. The commission stepped up and funded those. So you'll be seeing new traffic lights as well.
Right now, we're just haggling over that building on the corner by the chamber to keep it only 1 story so that when you're sitting at the stoplight, you can still see across the roof and see the top of the building that says Chamber of Commerce. But
that's right.
We're negotiating on that. Hey, there was another one, and I cannot believe I forgot this. Talked about shopping local. I see Marla. I see Tyler. I'm not sure who else on here might be. Can one of y'all step up and give a shout out and how people can participate in TN community?
No, we haven't done it.
Somebody's muted.
Tyler, probably.
Okay.
There we go.
So 10 Community is the initiative that we did last year to help small businesses, where you can go to 9 local banks and pick out a coupon type thing that is worth $10. They will be out at all the banks on Wednesday, and you can start using them Thanksgiving Day through December 5th at participating businesses on the 10community.com website. The participating banks are listed on the website as well. What will happen is the businesses that get the coupons will turn them into the chambers will turn them into the banks, and the banks will send those businesses checks or however many bucks that they got during that small business week. So just call or email us here at the chamber offices if you have any questions or whatever.
It's like going through the drive-through and at the bank, and they'll give you $10 coupons for free. You can go out and spend them where you want to, and then the businesses get their money back, and that's all because of the commitment and generosity of 9 banks that went together. So and to help out small businesses. So please, and if you're a nonprofit organization, I believe you get maybe a flat fee out of it. Is that right?
Yes, all the nonprofits that are listed on the 10 community website will get $200.
I see several of you who I know are on boards for nonprofits. By all means, make sure your nonprofit is listed on that website. That's easy money right there. So, and advertisement. Thank you, Tyler, for the heads up. Ray mentioned the help center. There's plenty of opportunities for to share your talents and treasures with others less fortunate over the holidays. Our nonprofit leadership council has a meeting tomorrow, and I'm sure that'll be something that they'll be talking about as well. So does anybody have anything else? I love seeing so many people on here. Struggled through a year of scattered and inconsistent attendance. Life was throwing us a curve every day. And so we were having to zig and zag on minutes notice, Kenny, and we got over 2 weeks to plan out our Christmas parade. Heck, we got 4 weeks. So 2 weeks, a little delay for a couple hours is no big deal. So
That's right. Hey, Mark, was that Ray Render's cat I saw earlier?
I believe it was.
He thought nobody saw
He
it.
thought nobody saw it. Cat. I saw a cat.
He has jumped down, that turkey. He doesn't every time a Zoom call starts, he's in my lap.
Call it a tiger. Make it interesting. You got a tiger.
That's
So-
right.
Hey, Ray. Ray's got a cat. I got Justin back here.
We all need a pet. We all need a pet.
Look at that. I rub on it. Look.
Does he
If,
purr?
Have a pet like me, Ray.
Justin, it's all part of the job, buddy. So, hey, I hope everybody has a blessed Thanksgiving. Give where you can. Give us a call. We've got a lot of stuff on the calendar between now and then. We will see you all soon, I guess.